Your CEO said on the 29th of November, I think it was, that your current vaccine may be less effective against the new Omicron variant. Have you seen any evidence since then to change your mind on that?
Ian, good morning. Thanks so much for having me. Look, I think what we've seen now from all sorts of pieces of data from around the world is that certainly all of the vaccines against COVID lose some degree of protection and neutralization against Omicron. It's not surprising. 51 different amino acids, we know about this, 30 different amino acids in the spike protein alone, which is what these antibodies bind to. What I think we're seeing, and I think in coming hours, today, tomorrow, Ian, we'll see more data coming out from Moderna, is that while if you've had the primary vaccination and you're maybe 3 to 4 months out from that, there is a waning of immunity and a waning of protection. For people who've been boosted, and in those then coming weeks after being boosted, immunity goes back up and there's a decent degree of protection. We've seen that from some published data. So I think, we can be confident that getting a boost of this vaccine will continue to provide protection against Omicron, but we need to be cautious and obviously take things very carefully.
What specific data are you looking for before you can be certain on that?
So the gold standard data, that we look for, and there's some come out from the United Kingdom, from Nick Andrews, is to look at vaccine effectiveness. Now, we found with the Moderna vaccine all throughout the pandemic that we have excellent vaccine effectiveness, protection against infection, protection against hospitalization, and that is true, and indeed death, and that's true overall and with Delta. Because Omicron is relatively new, although many hundreds of thousands of people around the world are now getting infected, we don't really have that degree of confidence in data yet. So we have to rely on laboratory tests, and our colleagues around the world, Moderna and researcher, are doing those experiments now. And generally what they show is that there is sometimes a 40-fold reduction in immunity in people who are 3 to 6 months out from their initial vaccination. But in those people who got the boost, and for Moderna, that could be a 50 microgram shot, it could be a 100 microgram shot, their antibodies quickly rise again. And we've seen that with the other vaccines as well. And there's protection. So I think this is generally good news.
A lot of people have been making claims and counterclaims against how dangerous this particular new variant is. What is your view on that?
I think it's a serious variant. When you think about the fact that people who typically get infected with Delta are usually not reinfected. That's not true with Omicron. Data from South Africa have shown that it can reinfect people. Has a doubling time that's very fast, maybe 3 days. Typically, we would see doubling times of 7 to 14 days. Look at the rise in cases that we've seen in numerous countries around the world. And data from Denmark seems to say that while it's early days, the rate of hospitalization for people with Omicron is about the same as they've seen with hospitalization for Delta. So, this is a variant that is, again, what people refer to as a fit virus. And it's coming into countries and regions on a background of very high Delta infection. So the two together, I think, make it a significant concern.
On the basis of what you've just told me then, do you think that the recent actions of the UK government are proportionate?
I think, the issue with Omicron is that we've seen already cases, again, in Denmark, higher than we saw at the peak of the pandemic. South Africa, 250 cases a day maybe a month ago, now 25,000 cases a day. This is a virus that's proliferating and infecting people at a high rate. So I think, yes, we need to be cautious. We need to take simple measures, masks, hand washing, distancing. That coupled with immunization and boosting, I think can really protect people in these coming winter months.
Now, if you conclude that a new vaccine is going to be required against this particular variant, or even a variant-specific booster, how rapidly do you think you could turn that around?
So we announced in early in this next wave of the pandemic that we were at risk, as many other manufacturers did, at risk making a new Omicron-specific variant. That work's ongoing. I think in the early new year, colleagues will be able to begin testing that in people around the world. It's probably then a 2-month wait by the time you've given the vaccine to people, take some blood. Are they making antibodies? Do those antibodies neutralize? So we're probably looking at a lot of activity in the first quarter of 2022, and then hopefully more results early Q2 of 22.
And briefly, if you would please, Paul, obviously Moderna has just signed a deal with the UK government to supply another 60 million doses of the existing vaccine. If the vaccine doesn't prove to be as effective against Omicron, are there any clauses in that deal that enable the government to get out of it?
I think about just the science and the medicine, Ian. I don't know the specifics of the deals, but I can. We'll definitely check into that. I think the key here is that we've had a tremendous partnership with the UK, JCVI, Vaccine Task Force, and to bring already the Moderna vaccine to UK. I think given the data that we have, it really should offer a good degree of protection. And as I say, we're working on the next versions of the vaccine that's needed.
OK, Paul Burton, greatly appreciate you speaking to me this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian.